Suffering. Suffering. Why do we suffer? Oh, you're going to like this. I call it the loop. You know, when you get stuck in your mind, you can't let it go, and it just starts to torture you. I call this loop yearning. I call it the yearn, the churn, and the burn. You yearn, you churn, and you burn, and it doesn't stop. It just keeps coming around, this thing you can't let go of. Now, why do we yearn? We yearn for something. We yearn for someone. We yearn for something to change. We yearn for someone to change. We want someone else to change. We yearn for the past to be different, even though you can't change it. Yearning is just living in the past. Yearning, living in the future, is fantasy. Yearning to be different, not liking who you are right now, and yearning to be good enough, yearning to be loved. This is why we suffer. We yearn for all of those things, and we don't give them to ourselves. And we have the power to give all of those things to ourselves, but it's definitely yearning. Okay, so worry, shame, guilt, self-pity, yearning, suffering, rejection. They all belong in the same categories. These are thought-driven belief systems. And then there is a story that comes up for you from the past that gets locked into this memory. And when that story and that memory and that emotion get locked together, it is one of the most powerful personality traits, because that's what it's become. It becomes your identity and who you are. And all it is because your past fear, evidence, and ego saying my needs will never be met, wanting anything outside of yourself for fulfillment is the wrong path. Looping is non-acceptance of what is happening right now. Yearning is unfulfilled desire. And it goes straight to resentment. Because your soul, when it yearns for something, it's calling you to action. And when you don't step towards it and create it, you become stuck and resentful and hateful immediately. Resentment has zero boundaries. Burning is shame. It's when you have shame and you're obsessing over what you've done. And the reason you're obsessing is because shame is so close to rejection. Rejection is death to us all. We know this. And we know we are burning with shame. We are obsessing over our own behavior. Rejection breeds obsession. So anytime somebody rejects you and you wanted it and you don't accept that rejection, instead of saying, okay, right person, wrong time, whatever, you choose to make it about you not being good enough. You choose to attach it to your old not good enough story, and all of a sudden you're obsessing. You're obsessing because you were rejected, and this is your ego's way of just keeping you alive. It's okay. You're better than them anyway. It tells a whole lot of lies just to keep you alive. It's just survival. Burning is shame. Shame while you're not accepted. I call this stuck in a rat wheel in your own mind, and you're chasing the wrong solution to the wrong problem, right? You're chasing your own avoidance behaviors, or you're just resisting your own desires. It's just stuck there in cognitive dissonance, just always inner monologue, just arguing with yourself, constant mental negative chatter. You are stuck in your thoughts and you're believing them. And you are stuck in a negative emotion and you're believing your emotions. You believe the emotions that are going with this thought. But if you're yearning for something, create it. If you're yearning for someone, honor yourself. That just means you want love reflected back. If you're yearning for something to change it. Or accept it. If you're yearning for someone else to change, you need to accept them. That's you judging them. If you're yearning for the past to be different, forgive. Not the perpetrator, the wound. Forgive yourself. And if you're yearning, living in the past, learn a new way. Yearning, living in the past, living in the future is worse. That's fear and fantasy, right? Get out of a fantasy. Be present. Be now. You can have the love you want now. And yearning to be loved, give love. So this is about honoring your wants and desires. You're going to create it. You're going to change it. You're going to accept it. And then you can let it be. That's how we move through acceptance. Suffering is to yearn, but to not feel like you can have this. The cycle goes down really fast. I want, I dream, I try, I fail, I want, I dream. Rejection breeds obsession. I can't because, obsessed, I want, I can't. Resentment, everybody takes from me, it's not fair, I don't have what I want. Living in the past, burning, self-mutilation. If you're waking up in yesterday's emotions, you will get more of what you got yesterday. If you're waking up in last millennia's emotions, we need to deal with your trauma. And yesterday's emotions can be learned in daily practice. The time has come to wake up in the present to declare self-love to yourself. No more yearning, no more wishing, wishes, kisses, wanting, aching, suffering, fantasizing. This hate, disappointment, sadness, hopelessness, resentment, we suffer, we stuck, then we loop, and then we perpetuate and attract more of our yearning. Hate, disappointment, sadness, hopelessness, more, and the cycle repeats and the cycle repeats. So we're going to reframe our narratives around yearning and turn it into congruent goals, because you know that's what I like to do, and we're going to unfold your truest desires. But that's going to take a little bit of unfolding. We're going to reframe the way we remember our stories from childhood. Okay, we're going to reframe all of our stories. We're going to separate the facts from emotional memories in our stories that we've locked in around our excuses, and we're going to change it. And if you say, I can't, then I'm going to say, then we're going to accept it. And if you say, I can't, then I'll tell you we're going to change it. And if you say, I can't, then I'm going to tell you that we're going to accept it. And if you say you can't, then you're saying you're unacceptable and that you're unforgivable. And if you truly believe you are unacceptable and unforgivable, then you have not looked into your own soul. Reframing anything just means you can look at it from multiple angles, and you can bring it into the light. And whatever pain is attached to it, you just bring it into the light and all that pain falls away. But I tried, but I failed, but I put myself out there, but I got hurt, but I told people my dreams and they laughed at me. Yes, that all happens. Deep in your cells, you've developed a belief that you're not good enough, which triggers a million different scenarios, and it may even be the voice of a parent, but now it's yours. You believe this because you believe your own thoughts and you believe your emotions. And because the world is responding to your emotions and you have all this evidence, you believe it. But let's acknowledge one thing, fear and rejection, because you're about to learn that shame and fear are powerful emotions, okay? The human brain is in various stages of survival, contrasting and comparing. That's how we walk into a room, contrast and compare, looking for warnings of danger. This is risk assessment, contrast and compare. A man's walking towards me, contrast and compare. That's survival. It's our hardwired fear mechanism to keep us alive. And when we start to contrast and compare ourselves out there in the world against an ideal that can't be met, a body type that could never be achieved by you because you literally physically could never be it, or the fantasy of a relationship, then you can see why you're never going to measure up in your contrast and compare. But fear is your warning system. And it's just scanning for risk. Contrast and compare, risk, scanning for risk. But it turns very quickly into a competitive state. or ego, or I'm better, prettier, younger, smarter, richer, I'm more liked by them, competition. And that's the voice of fear. Rejection will overinflate you to survive. That's how it works. That's why we go to obsession. Okay, and common fear triggers. These are common fear triggers for all human beings is darkness and loss of visibility of their surroundings. Heights and flying. 3, snakes, rodents, spiders, and other animals in that order. Death and dying being at the top of the list, and social interaction and or rejection. Wait, we put fear of rejection, we put fear of social interaction up there with being buried alive, a shark attack, falling to your death, and being killed by a wild animal. No wonder public speaking is one of the greatest fears that we have. Is there any more crippling thought than being in a room full of people, having all of their attention on you and being rejected in that moment? And it's a muscle, you work it out. I feel the same energy in my body today as I did the first time I walked on stage in front of 300 people 13 years ago. My throat closed and I could not breathe. I thought I would pass out, lose bowel control, and projectile vomit simultaneously. So, seriously, that's clearly my definition of public rejection would have been to do all of those 3 things simultaneously. And the adrenaline in my body feels just like fear. It's just attached to a different thought process, right? So fear is an emotion, not a thought. It's a feeling, and it's a physical sensation, an ancient biological warning system that is designed to save your life. And this is our tribal conditioning as human beings, to be safe, to be sheltered, to be accepted, and to never be banished or rejected from the tribe, because that would mean death. You feel fear in your physical body before your brain registers danger. I know you think you have to overcome this fear, but that's not true. Fear never leaves. Fear's always in the car with you. Okay, in the emotional patterns and stored memories that you have fear is always present. Why? Because it's those big emotional memories that we store that are attached to the big feelings with the big memories that alert us that fear knows this will keep you alive next time. So fear's in all of your memories because fear is the reason you're alive. But you're not fighting that fear. It's going to quiet down. I'm going to teach you how to quiet fear down. I'm telling you, fear is not the problem. Someone else got into the car with fear. Okay? And that's the old story that fear is attached to. And she's a peach. Who else is along for the ride here? You got self-doubt. You can kick her to the curb. She's a narcissist. Self-doubt is a narcissist. It's all about me, me, me. No, it isn't doubt. It's all about what we see, give, and be. The 2 in the passenger seat, riding shotgun, is my emotions and my thoughts. I think that they're 3-year-old terrorists, little monsters. They never stop talking. You can't kick them out of the car. My thoughts and my emotions ride shotgun. Everywhere you go, put fear in the back. Fear does not drive. Fear does not navigate. Fear stays in the back and just gives you some feedback. You say, thanks, fear, I'm watching. I got it. Okay? But my thoughts and my emotions, those 2 little gremlins that are riding shotgun right there, making a whole lot of noise, having a little 3-year-old tantrum, that's my thoughts and my emotions, right? You're going to question fear, and you're going to question my thoughts 100%. Don't question my emotions. They don't lie. They're a 3-year-old that's hungry and needs to nap, and they've got that bulging diaper, and you just took its candy away. And I just accept my emotions will be inappropriate. Okay? Sometimes, most of the times, like a 3-year-old. So question fear. Don't analyze her. And never let these three drive, never let any of these three drive. Feel fear and observe yourself attached to an old narrative and a negative self-talk. And with awareness and practice, you can start to get between that thought and that feeling. You can literally say, nope, fear and old story must be separated. Fear never leaves, stays in the back. Kick old story to the curb now. Because I don't want this old story anymore. So I chose to believe. That's who I'm picking up in my car. I want to pick up to believe. And wait till you meet how fun this one is. Because when you believe anything that fear or my thoughts say, to believe does not. It is powerful indeed to master fear. I do not believe fear ever leaves. But I want to show you how to look deeper at this incredible biological life-saving response. You'll find what you are most afraid of is rejection. And that's why fear dates so many old stories. And fear will just keep bringing those old stories back in the car. Okay, listen to fear, kick old stories out. When you love who you are, there is no rejection. The recovery from any form of rejection is processed significantly faster. And you start to feel that when I'm doing what I love, with those that I love, living where I want to live, working with those whom I want to create with, loving myself and my body and my life, and nurturing this space every single day.